All right, so I want to talk now not only about the secure communities, or SCOM. I want to talk about President Obama's schizophrenic immigration policy. You know, it wasn't too long ago. I was there on the campaign trail working as a local news reporter when then Senator Obama told an entire auditorium of Hispanic voters that he wanted and would get comprehensive immigration reform passed. And you know what? Maybe he really did intend to. But the numbers show that under President Obama, more than any other president, more undocumented immigrants have been deported. As far as the SCOM program, there was previously an opt-out option for state and local governments. No more. This is the across-the-board policy that was not voted on by lawmakers. It was simply enacted. A Prospect community organizer Ron Gochez believes is setting a dangerous precedent. Ron joins me now from our Los Angeles studio. Ron, what's the deal here? The president can't seem to make up his mind on immigration. Like, you know, the right hand is disagreeing with the left. What do you make of all this?
Yeah, you know, I think our community feels completely rejected and lied to. You know, we were promised immigration reform, we were promised an end to the deportations, we were promised a lot of things, an end to the raids, but we've seen a historic number of not only deportations and raids, but also just attacks on our community. So we were promised one thing, we were given the exact opposite, and that's why I think, you know, it's very clear that the Democratic Party cannot count on the Latino vote for this upcoming election if we do not have a real immigration reform that will give legalization to millions of people in this country who are here simply to work.
All right,
so they're in a real bind, because if they don't come through, they're not going to get the Latino vote.
You're saying President Obama cannot count on the Latino vote. You know, it's one thing for you to say, you know, you promised something, why don't you deliver what you promised? But it's another thing entirely to say, I'm going to take my vote elsewhere. I mean, Ron, is there a candidate in the Republican side out of the, 10 candidates or whatever, that you think the Latino community would be more likely to vote for?
You know, our community, like all working class people, has been stuck in this dynamic that they tell us, well, you know, it's the devil that you know instead of the devil that you don't know. Or they tell us it's the, the lesser of the two evils. But I think our communities are tired of that. We're tired of voting for the Democratic Party simply because they tell us that they're worse than the Republican Party. I'm sorry, they're not as bad as the Republican Party. But we have to go out there with some dignity, self-dignity as a people, and either vote for someone who really does represent our interests, like that may be a third party, or simply, you know what, on voting day, they might just stay at home. And that's sending a clear message to the administration saying that if you don't come through on your promises, then our community cannot continue to support you because you're reporting us at a record pace. And, we're talking about over 2 million people that will be deported after the end of his first term. So we cannot continue to support a party that is attacking us on an everyday basis, whether it be at the border, whether it be in our communities, whether it be, a woman who calls the police because of domestic violence and then she ends up being deported because of simply for calling the police for help. This is what secure communities means for so many people. And millions of people are really, really tired of this. The DREAM Act students feel completely rejected by President Obama. Many people feel rejected, and I think it's something that if they don't get legalization in this first term, they cannot count on our community's votes.
But I think on the surface, Ron, what the administration has said is that, you know what, let's not focus our efforts on students, the DREAM Act. Let's not focus our efforts on veterans. Let's instead deport convicted criminals. If we have to deport someone, why not do that? So, I mean, at first glance, it seems like kind of a good idea saying, let's focus on the bad guys. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure, that's absolute rhetoric, because the statistics show, including their own statistics, show that the great majority of people who are being deported because of secure communities absolutely do not have a criminal record. And some of the people who do have criminal records are something like, traffic violations. So when you're talking about the rapists, the murderers, those types of individuals, those are an absolute minority, a fraction of the entire community. So the rhetoric really is not proving true at all. We know that they're simply attacking anyone and everybody. They're using secure communities as a way to trap people. It's almost like they're going out fishing for immigrants, and they're trying to deport the 12 million people in this country. So, they use the line of secure communities. We call it for what it is. It's insecure communities, because our community does not feel safe. They cannot call the police or anybody else to come get help because they feel that they're going to end up being deported simply for calling in a real crime. And I think the real crime here is on the hands of the administration, not on the hands of the majority of the people in our community who are simply working class people who don't commit any crimes at all.
I'm wondering, Ron, just on a little bit of a lighter note, President Obama's uncle, I guess it's his dad's father, was recently arrested for DUI outside of Boston. I'm wondering, do you think that he's going to have his uncle deported?
Well, you know, this was an issue a couple years back with one of his aunties. You know, I don't know. I don't think anybody should be deported, but I think it'll, you know, we'll see what he does about this case. And just like Obama's uncle, there's millions of other people in this country who are here that need a legalization of some way. And if he did get caught for drunk driving, well, obviously that's something that's a crime that he should be punished for. But I don't think he should be deported to another country simply because of that.
You know, it's really interesting. We've been hearing regarding the president. The big story today is kind of how he said he was going to do his job speech on Wednesday, but decided to change it after Speaker of the House John Boehner said, "We don't want you to do it Wednesday." He said, "We'll do it Thursday." So, you know, it's really interesting to see this process of President Obama saying, you know, working with people, but what is actually the vision here? It seems to me the president is, you know, not so much outlining a vision. He just today said, you know, the Obama website says they're going to unleash a new website called We the People. Talk about how you feel with this We the People website kind of being put on the internet now in regards to the bigger picture in terms of what he's done and hasn't done.
Well, I think this shows a clear desperation on behalf of the administration. They're losing a lot of the support from a lot of the people that really believe in the hope and the change that they promised us during the 2008 campaign. So they're trying to rescue their presidency. They're trying to, you know, ensure, I guess, re-election in 2012, and that's where they're coming out with all this rhetoric. And at least for our community, as far as immigration reform, they gave us this thing of 300,000 people, which is only about 2.5% of the 12 million people that need legalization. So I think they're trying to do anything to rescue themselves at this moment, and I think it may be a little bit too little, too late for this administration.
All right, community organizer Ron Gochez talking to us about the Secure Communities program. I'm sure we have not heard the last of this.